over the top and very formal.
Yeah, so like he was already impatient and mad at him, and then he decided to show up with a smile on his face because he's not really, and like in his culture, like he's not even like he's confused as to why the American was like all impatient and like pissed off at him. But I mean, I guess I could see both sides, but coming from being an American, I definitely would probably go to a meeting on time just because that's what I've grown up and like learned with. And coming from the American, I'd probably be very impatient as well if someone came very late, if they were just talking to a friend or used their time for something not as important.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Adding on to that idea, there's another example that was brought up in class. Um, I think it was through a text that we read or something, or just a general conversation. But the way parties are viewed in different cultures, um, like for example, here in America, it's more normalized to have a start and an end time to a party. But um, for for like in Brazil, for say, that's viewed as very not really disrespectful, but out of the ordinary because they just they're glad to be there. They enjoy their time there, and they enjoy partying in general, from what I understand. So having an end time to a party is very unlike them, and could be viewed as a weird concept in different cultures.
Yeah, I remember talking about that with our guest speaker, and he was even saying, like, he said, like, the end of the party is like when the last person leaves or like when the last drink is drank. So, like, he viewed it very odd as well that, like, you could be like, oh, come here at 7, and like everyone's got to be out by 12. And then we also dove into one of our classmates was talking about that he was at a Mexican party and he thought he was just going to be eating for like an hour or two because it was a New Year's thing. And then next thing you know, he said it was the next day. So in different cultures, it's pretty crazy to me that like the party will just live on. And like we've heard examples from our teacher that there's festivals that will go on for days and days and people just don't sleep. And along with that, like food is a huge thing in different cultures compared to us. If there was a quick little like business thing and someone wanted to go out to eat, I would say at most you're probably out for 2 hours, like max. But like in Brazil, that's like a big thing where if you really sit down and eat, like they will sit for 5 to 6 hours and keep eating.
Yeah,
Like that's one of their
it's
biggest
more of a
activities.
spending time with whoever you're with than
Yeah,
eating.
and that goes along with like timing. Like, um, I feel like an American feels they have to eat and get out
Right.
rather than like in Brazil per se that they really like spending their time. And it's not even like about eating because they'll probably get their food fast. Or another example is when the guest speaker was saying that he came to eat here and he sat down and like the waiter or waitress was getting like kind of like angry because she kept coming back and they did not have their food ready or what they wanted to order ready because they just kept talking and talking and talking.
Right.
So yeah, it's the food can be consumed within like 20 minutes, but they will sit there and keep doing what they want for a very long time.
Well, adding on to that, I think it makes you wonder um, why it's so normal in America for restaurants or waiters slash waitresses to kind of rush you out of the restaurant and sit somebody else down versus in different cultures. I'm going to use Brazil as an example again. They don't rush you out of the restaurant. They want you. They encourage you to take your time and spend that time with friends and talk. And you're just. It's kind of like you're sitting at a social cafe and they just happen to bring you food.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just makes you wonder, like, what other differences are there from what we thought was normal, like the getting ice in your water or getting water with your food in general. Apparently, according to the guest speaker we had, that's not a normal thing, which I grew up thinking that was the normal thing. So that was very eye-opening for me to hear that.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny that he was saying his one friend, like, like how water's given to you no matter what, that he kept ordering a drink, but water kept coming, and he was getting like all confused because he's not used to like any of that. And then what was it? I just feel like Brazil, or this goes along with like business too. Like, it goes along perfectly with time is money in America because those waiters and like business owners, they don't necessarily want to kick you out, but they're trying to get you in and out as soon as possible. To if you're like really popular and crowded, they want someone else coming in quick so they can make their money.
Right.
While it's in like Brazil, they like, I feel like they definitely see it as more of a family friendly, like, spend your time and use it in an effective way, when I feel like they're not really focusing on business as much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Well, it's more about the money and pushing people out, and Americans trying to make more money by rushing you out. If I remember correctly, in Brazil, it's not necessarily viewed as disrespectful, but it could be viewed that way. It's tipping. It's not normal to tip your waiter or waitress at a restaurant, whereas in America it's like very frowned upon and discouraged not to tip because that's how they make most of their money. That was also a very eye-opening thing to hear from me because I that was always normal for me. I didn't know that tipping could be viewed as disrespectful.
Yeah, coming from someone who I work and I get tips, and I used to like, I would always tip like the right amount, but I wouldn't really care as much like looking at a waiter or waitress, but like when I finally got put in that position, like getting like a bad tip would like always get me like mad, or like a tip could make my day if they gave me a lot. And I feel like definitely waiters and waitresses in this like short amount of time they have, because most American dinners don't last that long unless you're going out for like a big family outing, that I feel like they really try their best to be outgoing and like communicate with you to make sure everything's okay, just because they know like that's how they're making most of their money. And yeah, I just feel like Brazilians really like can do multiple things in a time period as well. Like, just like the meeting example where the guy didn't go for another like 30 to 40 minutes. I feel like anything in their path, if they feel it is worth their time, they will do it and not feel bad about it. So, yeah.
Like you mean on their way to a meeting, for example?
Yeah,
Okay,
like if they find a friend, or if someone calls them that like they need help or something.
Yeah,
they'll go out of their way to definitely like help them with that. And I feel like time is like secondary to task, and the accomplishment of the task is more important than like the deadline. Right. Like, I feel like they definitely don't worry about a deadline as much, but more about being effective in accomplishing it, rather than like in America. I feel like there's deadlines put on most things. Like, you gotta get this done by a certain time, and like no distractions. So yeah.
Right. Well, with all that being said, I think it could also, like the deeper question here, I think it could make you think, do other cultures have a deeper sense of community within each other, in the sense of Americans are so time focused, money hungry, whatever you want to call it. Does that mean that other cultures, like Brazil, for example, that they like to go out and they like to spend time with friends and family and have fun and, take their time, and they enjoy their time, and they're not always stressed out about, oh, I don't have time for this or that, I need to go do this or that, or I'm late? Does that make them have a deeper sense of community, or are they like happier people in general? It just makes you wonder.
Yeah, along with that, I could definitely agree with that because I feel like, along with going with like deadlines, like I feel like you're always rushing to do the next thing here. While it's in Brazil, like there's festivals that go for days and days, and people aren't thinking about their jobs or anything. They're probably with their family,
Mm-hmm.
having like a good time. And even to bring up something random like soccer in Brazil, like they have like that's like a religion there, and like if you look at their fans, like they're crazy, and like I feel like that brings them together as like a huge community. And like obviously we have sports here and like football and stuff, and I know the fans like have a big community and like
Right.
it's like fun, but like I feel like nothing compares to like Europe side of like soccer and all that because I feel like it really brings them together as like a country. As I feel like here we definitely are more business and like time spent.
No, I would have to agree completely.